Good afternoon, everyone. So we're back at it, doing our DIY for our fox, and there's a couple things I want to focus on before we get into working on new areas, and that is around here. I've utilized a darker brown and a lighter brown around the eyes and here. So if you look at the photo, you'll see around his eye, it's darker, so there's some, I utilized some brown, and there could be an occasional piece of black glass within that, and in this area. So by utilizing those different shades of browns and integrating some blacks in there, it'll create that depth in the piece. Now just below the nose, so I do have the nose completed, but just below the nose, there's almost like a little bit of shadowing. So if I use black glass in there, what'll happen is the nose shape will become distorted. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some dark brown and some little pieces of black. So I've got some tiny pieces in here. When I integrate some black in there, I just cut it up. I always stick my hand in behind there so it doesn't go flying. So I just cut them up with the brown, and I don't particularly pay attention to what piece I pick up. I just glue it down, and I find that it tends to be a little more spontaneous that way. I don't develop any sort of pattern at all. That's how I work. I mean, we all have our own ways. So, yeah, just put a little bit of glue down. So put a little bit of glue down here, and then we will proceed with, I guess if I had the right end of the tweezers, it would help. And we'll just proceed with putting some glass down there. Now, the nice thing about using Prep multi-use adhesive is if I get all this done and it really doesn't work, then I guess I can very carefully remove those pieces. But we're going to stay optimistic right now and hope that putting down a mixture of these browns and darker browns and black, that it will create that optical illusion of shadowing in there. Because I'm pretty sure that it's hair there, and I will not lie, I checked one of my dogs under their nose to see if it's skin or if it's fur, and my golden, it's like really, really fine hair under the nose. So that's what we're going with. So I'm going to continue on here. I'll check back with you in a few minutes. Okay, so we finished all the brown and black here, just under the nose, and they're tiny little pieces, and so the things that you have to make sure is that none of the pieces are glued cut side up, so you want to make sure they're all flat. And now I'm putting down some white. So I have a variety of white glass. They're not all from the same sheet, so there's some aerodized glass in here. There is some flat white. There's just a real range, and it's actually beneficial for you to use a variety of different white glass because it gives your piece depth, overall depth. And I know that that fox do not have aerodized coats, fur, but you know, this is art, so this is where you get your creative freedom. Just like that. So there's a range, and there's a shorter piece in there. And the direction I'm putting it in, because I had drawn lines here, I can see my marker lines, so it tells me which directional way to lay this glass. I'm trying to put them in as tight as possible. That's the nice thing about this glue, is it's pretty pretty forgiving initially, but sometimes that's when things move around really easily, sometimes that's always not a good thing. So you just have to be mindful that as you're putting in the next piece, that you're not raising up any pieces so that it's not level, because you want them all the same level. So I'm just going to continue on with putting some white glass down there. So as you can see, we're moving fairly rapidly now. The finicky stuff is pretty much out of the way. So I've completed all the white around here. And as I get over to this side, again, it's the light's coming from this side, so it's darker on this side. So I'm integrating some gray within the white glass, and it's coming together. So that's what I would like if you guys are following along. If you're creating your own fox, just continue on with that. And as you can see, the pieces are really small, but again, you have to double check and make sure that they're all flat, because sometimes when you're shoving other pieces in, it disrupts other pieces and they raise, and you don't want that. Have a good day, everyone. Hi again. So we're definitely covering a lot of territory this particular Wednesday. So what I'd like to do is focus on this area right here, which is, it's not fur. It's the gap around the opening of the mouth. So what I've done is I've grabbed some black glass, and they're just little strips here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut them in little random pieces. They're kind of triangular nature, square nature, no rhyme, no reason. And we'll just cut them. They're really small, and the reason we're making them small is we need to fit it to contour that particular area. So we'll start with one strip. Okay, now I find when I'm working, it's easier to work from a tray, so that's why we've done that. And so we are going to start. I'm being rather generous here on how much glue I'm putting down, but I think it'll be easier for you all to see. So I want to do the outline, the contour of the opening of the mouth, well, the bottom actually. So let's see here what we can do. Get all these pieces flat. Okay, so we're going to put this here. Let's see. Again, with these little pieces, they're kind of finicky. You want to make sure that you're putting them flat side down. Just so what I'm being really precise on is this line, this bottom line. I want to make sure that that is not distorted. And if the pieces touch, that is fine as well. I do not generally space out my pieces. I want them to pretty much touch each other. So once I finish this line here, what I'll do is I'll wait a few minutes and then I'll continue to fill in this area here. But I want the glue to stabilize first before I continue on. Otherwise, they're just going to keep moving out of where they're supposed to be, and then it's going to be a more difficult project to achieve. So it's basically the same fashion in which I did the nose as well. Okay.